Hello friends and welcome to Shared Up Smiles. I'm Alyssa and today I'm filming in a different space with a different lighting source than usual. So while it looks like I'm about to tell you a ghost story, instead I'm going to do an Upon First Listen album review because I wasn't able to get to it earlier in the week. But I was so excited to listen to this album that I couldn't just let it pass by. So today I'm going to be doing an album review on Turn Up the Quiet by Diana Krall. For those of you who are not familiar with her, she is a jazz musician, I believe from Canada. She is a vocalist and a pianist, and this album is a standards album. I usually do albums that are all original music. I just find original music a little bit easier for me to review, but this is a standards album, which means it's all her interpretations and recordings of songs that are considered standards, and so they're going to be songs that have been performed before that people know, but that being said, this is an artist that I've wanted to listen to for a really long time but haven't really got the chance to dive into, so when I saw the opportunity I had to jump on it, and I'm so excited to get started, so let's just jump right in. The first song on the album is called Like Someone in Love, and it's definitely a peppy start to the album in a relaxed, jazzy sort of way. It begins with just voice and bass, and then the other instruments are introduced later, and it's just a really good song, a really good start to the album. It sets the tone for what we have to look forward to in terms of instrumentation, in terms of arrangement, and in terms of vocal performance as well. The second song she recorded was Isn't It Romantic? And the simple answer is yes, this song is very romantic. It has a romantic feel in the delivery that mirrors the lyrics, which is always really nice to see, that not only is she telling the story with the words, but with the music itself and the stylings of how she delivers it and how all the musicians involved, because while it is her album and she is, the main focus vocally and on the piano, there are other musicians involved and they all play an important part that is very clear and apparent throughout the album on each song individually. The third song on the album is Love, or Love, which is definitely a super popular song, one that I think even people who maybe aren't as familiar with like these standard songs, they would probably be familiar with this one. And so this was the first one that I knew, and this is definitely a way more relaxed version to the song that I'm used to. It was definitely a slower approach. It's not quite as forward-driven as any other version that I've heard before, but it definitely worked for the song. There's a moment around 3 minutes and 30 seconds in where there's like this breakdown, and if you listen to it, I think you would definitely know what I'm talking about without even having to like, is that what she's talking about? Is that what she's talking about? No. If you listen to this song, you're going to figure it out. So it's a little after 3 minutes and 30 seconds in. And I went back and listened to it multiple times because I loved it, because it was just this different jazzy approach to just like a few chords, but it definitely made this arrangement of this song stand out to me, and I loved it. So I loved this song. The fourth song on the album is Night and Day, and this is just a beautiful arrangement of the song, and it's a perfect song for her style, the style that they're going for on this album as a whole. Having listened to the first three songs and seeing that this was the next one, it just made perfect sense to me because it definitely showcases all of that. The song itself does before putting into her own kind of arrangement and flair for it, but I knew that it was going to be beautiful, and it was. I was not disappointed. The fifth song on the album was called I'm Confessing That I Love You, and this was just a playful song after a little bit more of a serious one, but it was nice. The sixth song on the album was called Moonglow. This was another shining moment on the album for me. It definitely stands out as one of my favorites. It definitely has a sultry feel to it, and it shows off her voice's understated strength. Her voice is beautiful, but it's not necessarily it's not like a powerhouse, strong vocal that maybe people would be expecting. It definitely has more of a softer, whispery feel. It's alto, which is the lower female voice. It sounds beautiful though, and it works perfectly with these arrangements. It works for the jazz style that she's going for. It just sounds really great, and that song in particular shows it off, I think. Song number 7 on the album is called Blue Skies, and I loved the groovy jazz bass line on this. The instruments were definitely front and center of this one for me, and it showed off each individual musician's talents very well. They all kind of had their moment to shine, and even when they were all working together, I mean, throughout this entire album, they've consistently had their moments and been beautiful, but in this song in particular, it kind of stuck out to me. And song number 8 was Sway. This is the other song on the album that I think, even if you aren't familiar with a lot of these songs, this is one that a lot of people are going to know coming into it. And again, this was a much slower arrangement than I'm used to with this song. However, the slower arrangement almost amplified the sexy, sultry feel that always comes along with this song. And it's definitely still a very romantic song. It didn't take away from it, it added to it. It was a different perspective than I'm used to, and I really appreciated it, and I really liked it a lot. Song number 9 was called No Moon at All, and there was a long instrumental introduction that showed off the interplay between all the musicians. It's something that you will hear throughout jazz music in general as a genre, and throughout this album as well, but the instrumental introduction of this, I think, actually showed it off a lot. It was more front and center with it, and the focus was definitely on the instruments with this song as well. Song number 10 was Dream, and it had a dreamy, sleepy feel, but in a good way, not like sleepy like puts you to sleep, but because I think of it as like a good end of the day rest song. I could see coming home from a long day at work, or whatever you have going on that day, and just needing to like relax and unwind and sit down in a comfy chair with like your favorite blanket or like a hot cocoa or something, and putting this song on, and it would be a perfect way to kind of end the day. And speaking of endings, the last and final song on the album was song number 11, I'll See You in My Dreams, and which was a more upbeat closer to a pretty mellow album overall. And overall, I would give the album 3.5 out of 5 stars. I love the instrumentation and arrangements. This is the kind of jazz music that I personally always loved and was kind of more drawn to after learning about jazz music. I wasn't really introduced to a lot of it until I was older and in college, but I definitely really like this. However, I felt like it became a lot of the same. She definitely has a style. There was definitely a sound they were going for with it, and you hear it throughout all 11 songs, but then it kind of risks all sounding the same. There doesn't seem to be too much variation between it. However, I really would suggest this album. I think it's a really good end of the day resting album. I also think that it could be really good for a romantic evening, maybe a nice dinner, and also for going to sleep. Not because it's so boring it's going to put you to sleep, but rather because of its overall mellow, relaxing feel that will just kind of gently lead you into dreamland. So those are my thoughts on the album Turn Up the Quiet by Diana Krall. I hope you enjoyed them. Even if not, that's fine. I'd love to hear what you thought. Feel free to comment down below. If you liked this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. If you're interested to see future videos that I might be putting out, feel free to subscribe. And even if you do none of those other things, I just want to thank you so much for watching. I love you all, and as always, don't forget to share them smiles. Ciao for now, friends.